This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, welcome to Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And it's not every day that we have a guest like we have on today. Not only is he coming on to, straight from the heart, try to give it positive information. He's been in sales for several years, over 25 years, cars and roofing and everything. And he says that he gets discouraged by how the consumer doesn't quite get all the information that they are rightfully deserve to have, and that it kind of upsets him to see people not have their roof on or struggling financially and not actually getting the services that they deserve. And not only is he a sponsor for Moments of Clarity, and say thanks to that, but they're going to talk about how ending the stigma on mental health not only goes with that, but with all areas of working class and with companies and things like that. And I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity, Michael Quintanilla. Hi, Mike.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. Sorry, we got a little bit of a late start, but it's good to hear your voice. And you're calling with SWAT Roofing, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you're calling from Dallas, Texas. And
yes, ma'am.
And so thank you so much for your support and your sponsorship and everything, and for being on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do as well. It's an honor to be on the show with you.
Thank you. See, so Mike here, for our listeners, he is not only very generous to be a sponsor, but is the hardest person to get a hold of because he's doing so many good deeds out there in the world. So you feel kind of bad tracking him down and bugging him because he's doing good out there, and then there's, me being a nag. But at the same time, it's always a great honor to get to know some really good people on this show and see how many different ways people are trying to do random acts of kindness or pay it forward or look out for each other. It's just amazing, and it's really heartfelt. And so, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started into sales, and then what you would, I know that we're going to evolve into some really good stuff. So,
yeah, not a problem. So I started sales in about 1997, roughly, and actually a little bit before that even, but I started in the car business in 97, and I did about 20 years in that industry, and I was done about 2 years ago before I got into the roofing side of what I do now. But during my time of learning sales and always interacting without it, I just kind of took notice that many times things didn't always go as planned, and customers didn't always get what they wanted or wasn't always told the truth. So I decided that...
Doesn't that happen everywhere? It happens probably more than it should. I'm sure.
It does. But I just decided early on in my career that, I wanted to try to do things the right way and keep it as honest as and as well as informative, because I thought that was equally important. But that's just kind of where I try to differ as much as I can from your normal sales tactics. So not that everybody...
Not everyone chases the dollar. Sometimes the dollar comes to those who are actually doing the right way, to be honest. I know people that are out just for, making a little bit extra, and they end up not actually being as successful because they're not doing it for the purpose of what they're doing rather than what they can get out of it. And it ends up coming back at them a lot.
The quick dollar. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Before we get into that, we have a caller, Terry, on the line. Hold on one second, Mike. Welcome to Moments of Clarity, Terry. Thanks for calling in.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to hear your voice. How can we help you?
Well, I just was calling in. I had talked to Mike earlier, and he said he was going to be talking to you, and he asked if I would come on the line.
I love the honesty today.
This is honest.
Well, I'm calling because he's my buddy, and he's on the show. So, so what do you know about him and his ethics, then? We'll just put him on the spot since we didn't get that far into the show yet.
Oh, boy.
Here we go, Terry. Let's talk about ethics. Do you guys work together?
He put on my roof.
He put your roof on?
Yeah,
so you're like a customer then, a consumer?
I am a customer, yes. His company, over the last couple of months, has been involved with my insurance company, and they have installed a new roof for me, and I appreciate their help.
How'd they do?
They did great. They did very well, actually.
And so, yeah, so we're going to promote the company, of course. But, Terry, that's so nice of you to call in. And I'm hoping that you were going to call in. You would have called in anyway, not because someone asked you to.
No, actually, he just informed me that he was going to be talking to you. And if I wanted to listen in, I'd have to call and listen in.
There we go.
But I'm glad to,
No, but that means he must have done a really good job. And that you can tell that good business, nobody just kind of goes out of their way like that. But
that's exactly
thanks for
right.
calling in so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty, Mike. So, what exactly do you know, and what do you do?
Well, so it starts with basically damaged roofs. I get on top of the roofs. We look for hail damage. We look for wind damage, and so forth. And it doesn't have to be right after a storm. Homeowners sometimes aren't aware that they can actually file a claim from damage that happened a year ago.
Really?
And but I've seen as far back as 3 years here recently, about a month ago.
On roofing only?
On the roof, well, the damage from the storm date, they used the storm date in 2016, which was basically unheard of. Even now, it's like the only time that everybody's ever heard of that before. People have been in the industry 25 years, never heard of going that far back.
Wow.
But we look for the damage, and if we see the hail damage and the cracked shingles and so forth, then we advise a homeowner to contact their insurance. And
hey, Mike, not to interrupt you, but what is hail damage? What does that mean for the layman term?
So basically, you get a hailstorm that comes through, and
hail. Okay, so he's calling from Dallas, Texas. So he's saying hail. Gotcha. Hailstorm. Okay,
yes,
so gotcha.
Sorry.
I apologize.
Kind of like howdy. Howdy.
It makes more sense now. Hailstorm. So weather damage. I understand now.
Yeah. So when we spot that, the homeowner, we advise them to call the insurance, and they'll give the insurance a call. Then the adjuster comes out, meets us for a second inspection. It's their first inspection, but our second. And we get up there, show them what we found, and then we go from there.
I lost him. And then they go from there. Oh, we got a break. We must have just lost him. We're going to get him back on the line. But so for those of you that are just tuning in, we're discussing like different things that we should be aware of when if you're a homeowner, and we're approaching hurricane season here coming up anyway in Florida with most of our listeners and stations as well. So with that in mind and with his information, it's good to know these things, especially if you have a roof or if you get any damage with the upcoming storms. If there are any, then this is kind of diamonds in the rough. All right, I guess we got Mike. You're back.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened.
Okay, so if you have a bunch of damage, you can go back as far as 3 years, and then.
So that is up to the insurance company, of course. Most policies, at least here in Texas, state that you can go back 1 year, and some insurance companies do allow an exception. Again, 3 years is the furthest I've seen go back, and only once. Before that, it was 2 years, and that was only once. So typically, it's 1 year. And if you don't file a claim within that 1 year, they can actually change it to neglect after that. So
neglect. So
yeah,
for a homeowner, okay, so I'm not quite a homeowner at the moment. So if we don't take care of our roofs, we can get in trouble for negligence?
They can give you resistance because of that. You know, what the insurance company tries to do is, you know, they don't want the additional damage, so they give you a year so that you can get it taken care of, and there's no leaks that are causing, you know, floors to get damaged and sheetrock and other stuff inside the house. Where it gets a little bit tricky is homeowners and, you know, car people, whoever car owners, they don't always want to file a claim because
right.
The common. There's just
Let me guess. The deductible is worse than the damage done, or something along that line, or points on the record, or I wouldn't know any of that stuff.
That is a very good point. Actually, that is one of a very big common problem, but it really boils down more to annual premiums. You know, homeowners. The biggest, you know, story out there is, hey, if you file a claim on your insurance, your premiums will go up. And that is true. And I would say 95% of cases where it's not is on your roof or even on your car. If it's hail damage, wind damage, then it's a natural act. And per the regulation of the government, insurance companies cannot raise your premium on you individually for filing the claim. Yeah,
so your premium doesn't go up with roof? Roof claims?
There's only one way it can go up, and it's a geographical raise. So individually for filing the claim, no, they cannot do that. At least not in Texas, they can't.
Okay.
People can file the roof, get a $15,000 new roof put on, and insurance companies are not allowed individually to retaliate with a raised premium against you.
I've never heard of that before. Why don't we know this stuff?
Well, that's the funny thing is about 75% of homeowners do not know that. They lump it in with the other 95% of claims that you can file on your home, which is there is some type of increased premium. So the roof is just kind of the beginning of it. Homeowners, I feel bad because I see homeowners with roofs like sinking sometimes, and the shingles are deteriorating, and you know they're just determined not to file the claim. And I truly believe that if they knew how the policy was interpreted and how it was in their behalf or in their favor, almost everybody would get a roof, just because there's nothing that can be done to you. So again, if
maybe that's why nobody knows.
Yeah,
nobody knew. Hold on 1 second. I want to invite callers to call in. If you have any questions or feedback, or this is an expert that has all the information and willing to tell the truth, and so that's even more valuable. 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. I want to hear some questions and feedback. And Mike, go ahead. So you think that a lot of more people would file claims and have roof repair, and it would be covered by insurance if they knew that most of the time it would be approved and that their premium would not go up?
Yes, that's correct. As a matter of fact, it's so misunderstood that in many, many cases, your premium can actually go down, believe it or not.
With a new roof?
With a new roof, that's correct. There's certain insurance companies that actually do that for you as a courtesy. But for the ones that don't want to do that,
plus it's a new roof. It doesn't need as much insurance because it's new, I would think.
Well, the chance of it being damaged definitely becomes less likely with the newer shingle up there. So when your insurance company doesn't want to provide that courtesy for you, then everybody else out there wants you. Now, they want to write your policy because you just got a new roof up there. So lowering your premium is really a lot easier than people think. Much less for it to higher or to be raised. So, and the tricky part is, you have a year to have your roof looked at, filed, and then actually put on if the insurance company pays for it or decides that they're going to go ahead and award you with that. But if you don't do it within a year, you have negligence according to them. So then they may not pay you for any additional damage that occurs. The only way that it can be raised is in a geographical raise. So basically a whole entire city or town, county, whatever, that gets hit quite a bit more often than other areas. So insurance companies' racial losses begin to come through the roof. And they are at that time. That's the only time that somebody can get an increase. In other words, so